Good morning and welcome to today's reflection. Now, while I know we are nearer Christmas than Easter, the set reading for today has traditionally been part of our Easter story, particularly for Maundy Thursday. Now, the images we traditionally associate with Easter centre around wood, nails and a crown of thorns, all of which are associated with the pain and agony that Jesus endured on a cross. There are also colours associated with Easter: red, purple and white. Red refers to the blood shed by Jesus. Purple, the colour associated with royalty, which was considered special, not to mention expensive, back in the 1st century. Jesus was, after all, given a purple cloak to wear, a purple robe to wear, as he was mistreated by the Roman soldiers. And finally, white symbolised purity, holiness and righteousness, characteristics that sum up Jesus. The set reading for today is from the Gospel of John chapter 13. It has something mentioned, an image that should be as relevant to us today as it was during the event that took place in the reading. Maybe now we can look on those verses minus what might be our preconceived images and thoughts, and look at them separate from the Easter story. It is the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 1 to 11. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, that he had come from God, and he was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel round his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," Peter said, "you will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you will have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. That was why he said, not everyone was clean. This is the word of the Lord. The other image I want to mention is this towel. The towel here represents the humility, the humbleness, willingness, and the attitude of Jesus as he went to the cross. Ever since the beginning of his story, Jesus was on a descending path, beginning with his incarnation, continuing through his interactions with people he met, and reaching something of a climax here as he stooped down and washes his disciples' feet. Jesus did this to show them what it meant faithfully to follow him. Especially as, according to Luke's Gospel, the disciples had previously been busy wondering among themselves who was the greatest. They were far too busy to consider themselves serving as foot washer. When Jesus answered them, "Let the greatest among you become the youngest, and the leader as one who serves." That same message is at the forefront of our reading today. While the disciples were hesitant or even unwilling to assume the role of servant, Jesus displayed his love for his own who were in the world by taking the role of the servant and washing the feet of his disciples. But what about us today? What do we take from those verses? Throughout church history, this command to wash one another's feet has been understood to mean we should do whatever it takes to serve one another, no matter how menial the task. To be part of a community of foot washers means to live with this question always on our lips: what can I do for you? I answered that question myself recently when I volunteered to help with the local Christian charity Compassion Acts, whose vision is to see the end of poverty, hunger, and the need for the likes of food banks. It's an amazingly well-run organisation, but they admit, however, they could do little without its many volunteers. They are following a quote from the former Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who said, "There comes a time when we need to stop just pulling people out of the water. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in." While the food banks are helping those urgently in need with emergency help, they are, in a way, helping pull people out of the river of need from that quote. But Compassion Acts are actually going upstream to find out why people are actually falling in with their food pantry, which offers a more structured help to those in need, then with mentors able to help those get back on their feet. There are also the likes of school uniform hubs, so there are plenty of opportunities for all ages to help, even for an hour a week. Having spent time in the warehouse sorting the donations into bags, ready to go to the many food banks, it surprised me how organised everything was. Even the bags of food, whether for one person or for a family, all contain a minimum of 3 days of nutritionally balanced, non-perishable, tinned and dried food that has been donated by the local community. And then spending time working in one of the local food banks and just chatting over a cup of tea or coffee to those who come through the doors. People who, in effect, were no different to me, who in most cases just needed a helping hand and a listening ear. If we want to follow Jesus into the world, it starts with us serving others. We need to want to wash people's feet, even if it's hard, dirty work. We need to give and ask nothing in return. I want to finish with, as a prayer, the words I found on a print in one of the offices of Compassion Acts. Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, but, as they say, with the intention. So go, love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world awaits in darkness for the light that is you. Amen. Well, whatever you do for the rest of today and this week, try and do it with a smile. Bye for now.